We would like to welcome you to the Greater Iberia Chamber of Commerce Forum Candidates seeking the office of City Marshal for the City of New Iberia. I'm Wendell Verrett, Port Director for the Twin Parish Port District and first Vice Chairman of the Greater Iberia Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. Tonight's forum is hosted by the Greater Iberia Chamber of Commerce, and we're grateful for the sponsorship of Iberia Comprehensive Community Health Care Center and the partnership with Leadership Iberia. Tonight's program is purely informational. Neither the Chamber, Iberia Comprehensive Community Health Center, nor the Leadership Iberia program endorses any candidate running for office. There are a few announcements before we begin this evening's program. Our sponsors wish to remind you that the deadline to register to vote in person or by mail is October 5th. The deadline to vote online at Go Vote Online registration is October 13th. Early voting is October 16th to the 27th, excluding Sundays from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And election day, of course, is Tuesday, November 3rd. All forms will be posted online at the Chamber's website at iberiachamber.org. At this time, I'd like to introduce the candidates. All candidates in this race are invited to participate. Those in attendance tonight are Brett Lang, Tony Miguez, and Cory Porter. Each candidate will have 90 seconds for an opening statement. We will begin with a series of questions. Each candidate will have 60 to 90 seconds, depending on the question. I will indicate the time allowed for each question as each one is asked. To assist the candidates in keeping time, we have a timekeeper and timing light situated down in front. Candidates, when your time begins, the green light will come on. When you have 15 seconds left, the yellow light will come on. And when your time is up, the red light will come on. At that time, you must finish your sentence. If it goes more than a few seconds, the buzzer will sound to let you know that it's time to stop. And we have a sample? No sample buzzer.
Beep.
All the questions tonight are predetermined. They were solicited from the public, from an unbiased committee that reviewed the question and submitted it and came up with those that are being asked tonight. All questions were kept in strict confidence, and no one except the committee members and myself have seen them. At this time, we will start with opening statements. Earlier, we drew for the starting order, and we will commence with Brett Lang and continue from my left to right. Closing arguments will go in reverse order, and you have 60 seconds for your closing. You will now have 60 seconds for your opening statement. Mr. Lang.
Good afternoon, or good evening, to the citizens of New Iberia. My name is Brett Lang. I'm a candidate for New Iberia City Marshal. I have experience in business management. I have experience in the Marshal's office working under the late Marshal Vic Delcom. I have experience in law enforcement, working for Jeanerette City Police, the Iberia Parish Sheriff's Office. I currently serve as the office manager for the law office of K. Pittman Clark. I'm involved in the community. I serve as the board president for CASA of the 16th JDC. I serve as a board of director for Iberia United Way. I'm passionate about the city, and I want to see the city move forward. My name is Brett Lang, and I hope to earn your vote tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Miguez.
I'm Tony Miguez. For the past year, I have had the honor to serve you as your city marshal. Since taking office November 1st, I worked diligently to honor the promises that I made to you. Though the year we've had has been unique, to say the least, I'm proud to say that things are going well for the Marshal's office and even greater looking forward. Sitting here today, I can proudly tell you that we have implemented a computer tracking system and efficiently record keeping. We have also put our 2 units on the road, which were donated by the city of New Iberia. Also, we have implemented a new security system within the courthouse and added radio communications between the entry checkpoint and courtroom, making our courtroom very safe. Lastly, we have we have a professionalized office by outfitting our deputies with new uniforms to keep them clearly visible. Today, I would like to today I want to no longer be your marshal for the rest of my life, if can. Thank you very much. Tony Miguez.
Mr. Porter.
Good evening. Thank the Chambers for the invite. My name is Cory Porter. I'm number 85 on your batting for City Marshal. I'm a father of 6 kids. I'm a U.S. veteran from the Desert Storm. I have 28 years of law enforcement experience in which I worked in the cities of Houston, New Orleans, and New Iberia. I know my knowledge and wealth of knowledge and experience in law enforcement is going to be an asset to the city of New Iberia and to the people. I come to you today asking the people to elect me as your candidate for City Marshal. I know the work that I want to do in the community is going to help bridge the gap in community relations, extend the community policing in which this community needs, and it almost needed nationwide. Being that person in your City Marshal, I know I'm going to be your best candidate for City Marshal. Thank you.
Okay, we will begin with the questions, and we'll go to Mr. Lang, and we'll proceed with each of you. You'll have 60 seconds for this first question. Tell us why you are running for City Marshal. Mr. Lang.
I'm running for City Marshal because I feel the city needs someone that's compassionate, someone that understands people of the city. Working under Marshal Delcom, I learned compassion. I learned what it meant to be someone that the people is there to listen to the people. So I feel that that is the reason that I want to make a change in this city. There's a lot of things that I don't like that's going on in the city. There's a lot of, it needs to be more diverse in the city. And I mean, we need to feel safe in our homes. And with the City Marshal's office, it needs to be like the surrounding areas, the surrounding City Marshal's office, and needs to be progressive and active and make sure that our citizens feel safe at night when they lay their head down in their bed. Thank you.
Mr. Miguez, tell us why you're running for City Marshal.
Running for City Marshal is something I've always wanted to do. The City Marshal's office, I've been running it for the last year, and we have done a lot with that office, but there's so much more that can be done. But my passion is kids, helping people, working with the community, being involved. The Marshal is a type of person that can be a resource for anyone, to help with any type of problems. It doesn't have to be murders, or it can be minor things, someone losing their house, whatever it is. The Marshal needs to be visible, and I think I'm a people person. I have great communication skills. I have developed a great relationship with our mayor and the chief of police and the sitting judge, and we worked together to make that office much better than what it was. It was good, but times have changed, and I look forward to it. I'm working wholeheartedly. It's a position that I love, and I want to be able to help as many people as I possibly can. Thank you.
Mr. Porter, tell us why you're running for City Marshal.
I'm running for City Marshal because I want to make a difference in the city. I think being an African-American male at this time, I believe my diversity in working in the different cities I've worked, I know I would bring a change in which I know I could relate to everyone that lives in this city. I think being in law enforcement as long as I have, I know the ins and outs of what it takes to be a great leader in law enforcement and how to work with other agencies to build a relationship, to make things cohesive and work together as a team. Because I think it doesn't help with anything but bring a good marshal to the city to help the city police department and the sheriff's office. And I think me being that candidate for City Marshal, I think I'm going to help bring that law enforcement community back to community policing, in which this community needs.
All All right, thank you. The next question is, what about your education, experience, or other aspects of your background qualifies you to serve the city of New Iberia in capacity of city marshal? You will have 60 seconds. Mr. Lane.
I'm a graduate from ALETA. It's Acadiana Law Enforcement Training Academy in Lafayette. I've got some college behind me in business management as well as criminal justice. My experience, I've served as a patrol deputy, boots on the ground. I've served in human resources. I've served as a detective. I've serving with the Marshal's office. I served as, I've done some courtroom security, served subpoenas, I've served evictions. So I feel that my experience in business management, along with my nonprofit management, I took an organization in 5 months that had nothing, and now we're thriving. So I believe that that's what the Marshal's office needs, someone who, with that mindset, to get the Marshal's office on the right track. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Miguez.
What's the question again, please?
What about your education, experience, or other aspects of your background qualifies you to serve as city marshal?
Thank you. Well, I spent 25 years in the Army, retired as a major. I commanded an infantry unit during the first Desert Storm. I worked for the Justice Department for 2 years as an investigator. I also went to, I have an associate degree and a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I went to the police academy at the age of 62. I graduated from the 13-week police academy. And I've been the marshal for the last year, and we've done quite a bit. We put 2 units on the ground in the community. We have computers that we didn't have before. We have a copy machine that we didn't have. All has been donated. We have picked up many things from the community helping us. I work well with the mayor. I've developed a good relationship with him and with the chief of police to work together as a team. Working together as a team, you get much more accomplished than by yourself. So I think just my education, my background, my 63 years of life, that's my education. Thank you.
Mr. Porter, what about your education, experience, or other aspects of your background qualifies you to be city marshal?
28 years law enforcement experience. I've been to 2 law enforcement academies. I've worked in the vast of worked homicides. I've worked in the courts. I've worked along with community doing mentoring. I believe working in community policing, I think it doesn't take a college degree to do that. It pretty much takes a person who has the caring and passion to want to help people in the community. And I think that's the biggest thing that I do have is going to bring to this office, is that I have a passion and care to help people in this community and want to move forward. I think currently working at the district attorney's office in New Orleans, that helps me understand the court system a whole lot and going to give me that ability to work closely with the judge here in New Iberia.
Thank you. The next question, you will have 90 seconds. What roles or duties do you envision as priorities for the city marshal's office? Mr. Porter, we'll start with you.
Well, the primary duty for the city marshal is the court and the employees and the civilians that do visit the courthouse to take care of business. I think that's my primary duty and primary focus. I think there's other duties that the city marshal is able to do that can help the city. I think that'll be my secondary, because I think being a law enforcement and an essential employee in law enforcement, I think it's my duty to be able to assist law enforcement agencies in this community to help solve crimes, reduce crime, and help mentor kids to get them on the right track. This is a great community. And I'm telling you, being a person with my background, I know that this is the community for me. This is a community for me to help. And there's a reason why I'm here, because I know that I'll be able to help each and every one person in this community move forward. And I know being with my training and background, the city marshal's office will move forward into the 20th century for as training, educating, and getting the involvement in the community with the city marshal's office and having an active role in the city.
Thank you. Mr. Miguez, what roles or duties do you envision as priorities for the city marshal's office?
Well, the priorities as I have as the city marshal are the court. The court is my priority. You're executive of the court. You work with the judge and you make sure the court's secure on a daily basis, make sure, check the exits, make sure everything is right. But there's much more than that. We serve evictions. There's paperwork that has to be done every day. We serve evictions, but the marshal's office does much more than that. There's so much that can be done as far as getting out in the community. I was born and raised here in Iberia. I know exactly what Iberia is all about. I left for a while, but I'm back and I've been here for a good while, and I love Iberia. My family's here, my kids are here, everyone that I know and love is here. And I want to help this community grow. The marshal's office has so many avenues that it can take as far as we could work with the police, and we've done that. We do that now with the units on the road. We assist them in many ways by, say, a dog, having a problem with dogs where the police officer doesn't have to go that. I can go take care of that. Some of the minor problems that we have, we can allow the police department to go do their thing. We want to get involved in, we can have a junior marshals group. I also have plans for a reserve officers corps. So there's so much that can be done. Knowing the people that I know from Iberia, being born and raised, the doors that I need to go through, I know where to go, I know who's in there, and I know how to get things done. With my 25 years in military as an officer, I learned how to get things done. Thank you.
Mr. Lang, what challenges, what roles or duties do you envision as priority for the city marshal's office?
The first priority is to open the city marshals up full service hours. Currently, the city marshal is till 3 o'clock. We're paying a full-time marshal to do with part-time hours. It needs to be equivalent to the same as the city court. When city court's open, the marshal's office will be open, and we'll follow suit. Second is be accessible to the citizens of New Iberia. I get calls all the time from landlords asking about evictions because it's not being done properly. I've gotten several, I'm not going to say complaints, several calls regarding garnishments where, a single mom was over garnished because the marshal's office wasn't paying the garnishments. We can't function like that. So the first thing I would do is open the city marshal's office up full time. Secondly would be to contact the auditor's office and have them do an audit of the marshal's office to see where we're at and where we need to go. Thank you.
Okay. The next question, what challenges do you see for the city marshal's office over the next 4 years, and how do you expect to meet them? You will have 90 seconds. Mr. Miguez.
Well, it's finances. It'll be the budget. To have revenues is the biggest challenge. And that is done with the revenues that come in through the citations and tickets that are written. That is increasing. We have cut back on the failure to appear that were out there, the warrants that were on the books. We've cut about 10% of that down by working for 7 days a week. I work 7 days a week, by the way. And we work very hard, but it's going to be financing and finding and being creative ways to be frugal with our monies. Like, for example, computers. We didn't have computers in the marshal's office when I took over. I had some people, I talked to a few people, we got them donated. Same thing with a copy machine. They didn't have one. I got some donated. I got radios for the units donated. If you talk to people in the community, they will help you. Financing, but going out and knowing people, asking them to help you. Because we do a lot. We're open every day. We're open 5 days a week. When the court is open, the city marshal's office is open. And I work myself personally 7 days a week. Thank you.
Mr. Porter, what challenges do you see for the city marshal's office over the next 4 years? How do you plan to meet those?
The biggest challenge I think is probably the manpower is that I don't see. I think my thing will be to try to recruit some people that's going to benefit the city as far as providing a service. I think working with the mayor and the city council and ensuring that the city marshal's office had adequate employees to help the court to work function properly, and also to be able to assist the city police department for its providing additional services to help this community. I think looking at the budget, I think once I get in office, being able to sit down and understand the needs of the department, the marshal's office, and then understanding the needs of the community. I know the biggest thing we need right now in the nation is that we need police officers and law enforcement agencies that want to believe in community policing. Community policing is going to work. You have to believe in it. And I think those are the things that I think we're going to have to buy in the next 4 years when I take office, is that we need to work together as a community to bridge this gap for us to build and move forward. Thank you.
Mr. Lang, what challenges do you see for the city marshal's office over the next 4 years, and how do you expect to meet them?
The biggest challenge is going to be the finances. The money's just not there in the marshal's office because it hasn't been handled properly. I mean, there's grants out there that we could get for units. There's grants that we could get for computers. There's grants that we can get for equipment. And the second part to that is qualified police officers. Right now we have people riding around in marshal units that are not post certified, and meaning they've never been to a police academy. They don't carry a firearm. Let's say one of them roll up to get a cup of coffee at a store and the store's being robbed. The first person that robber's going to go after is that police car. Well, it's a liability because those officers cannot protect themselves. So it's a liability for the city. So we're going to have to look at ways to sit down and come up with finding money. One of my plans is to talk with the judge about probation. When he sentenced someone to probation, currently they go to the district attorney's office. That's anywhere between $40 and $60 per person per month, when that money could be coming to the marshal's office and let us do the supervision. That right there would solve a big chunk of the problem. I plan to sit down with the mayor, we have a very intelligent mayor, and put our heads together to see what we can do to get the monies into the marshal's office. Thank you.
Our next question, if you are elected city marshal, how do you plan to work with the New Iberia Police Department? You will have 90 seconds. Mr. Lang, we will begin with you.
My plan is to work with the city police. There's a lot of complaints. I've said it last year. If we have a homicide in one part of the town, one part of the city, the units come off the road to go and secure the crime scene. Why can't the marshal's office do that? It will free up, hold this crime scene for the city police detectives, let them do their job, and allow those people, the officers on patrol, to go back and serve the community and protect the community. Whenever we have a major crime, the city's unprotected because they're having to pull officers off the road to secure a crime scene. As a detective, I've worked crime scenes. Sometimes it can take several hours to do that. So that is one of my biggest plans. Also, I want to help with get with animal control. I've talked to the director already, and enforce the animal laws that are on the books. I know the city police. I know when I worked for the sheriff's office, I worked inside the city. We had a lot of animal complaints. The city police shouldn't be handling animal complaints. Let the marshal's office do that. That way they can handle other things inside the city. Thank you.
Mr. Porter, how do you plan to work with New Iberia Police Department?
Being the former captain of the Criminal Investigation Division for the police department, I believe I still know a lot of men and women that still work there. I think I built a lot of respect from the men and women from the police department. To me and the chief still have a good relationship. I believe that relationship will be better. I think being the marshal is going to help the police department tremendously. basically on my experience alone to assist them in almost any needs that they feel fit with our department. Being that the marshal's office have a marshal that is certified in almost every investigation that's possible, it's beneficial to the city and to the people, because we most definitely need to have a good relationship to work together to make the community feel safe. And that's one of the biggest things that I would like to bring, is that we have a sit down and conversation together to understand is that, hey, I want to work with you guys to make this community better. I'm not here to run nobody city. I want the people to understand is that we're here to work together to make this community safe. And that's be my goal. Thank you.
Mr. Miguez, how do you plan to work with the New Iberia Police Department?
Well, I plan to continue to work with them. On a daily basis, I work with them. I have a very good relationship with them. It's very important that we get along because we can do things for each other. I don't want to get in the police's way. City police has their job. And as the marshal, I'm not the city police. I'm not going to be the city police. But I do assist them. I often riding around in my unit. I'm post certified. I ride around my unit. I see a police officer stopped at a home. I'll pull over just to make sure that he's okay as a backup. I don't have to say a thing, just be there in my presence. I know all the officers. I know them personally. I want to work with them. I work with the chief. I work with the assistant chief and all of those guys. We do a lot during the COVID. We had problems with COVID. I helped them a lot on security, securing the sites for testing, doing the things that they needed. The marshal does what the marshal is supposed to do. Okay. Now, if we had more money, then that's a different story. But right now, we are there to assist the city police. They're doing a tremendous job, and I'm going to continue to work with them in any way possible that we can to make it better. If we can help them their job, make it easier for them, we're going to do it. And that's how I plan to do it. Just have a good relationship with them, and I'm born and raised here in Iberia. I know the people from here. I know what the needs are.
Our next question is, how is the Office of City Marshal funded, and what is the current condition of the office's budget? You have 90 seconds. We'll begin with Mr. Porter.
I've not had a chance to review the budget of the Marshal's office. However, the Marshal's office is budgeted from the city. I believe we need to be able to look at that to see where this Marshal's office can expand, because having a law enforcement agency in the community that's not doing anything and is not providing a service to the community is a discredit to what that office can do to help this community. I believe actively, me as a city marshal, I'm going to make sure that we find the funds and the ability to help people in the community to see that the marshal's office has an active role in community policing and making sure this community is safe. I left this community receiving calls on a nightly basis about incidents that was taking place. I still get those calls. That's the reason why I'm here. I want to make a difference, and I know I can make a difference. Being that the city marshal's office has a capability of enforcing all laws in the state of Louisiana, I know I'm going to help make that office better for us financially and respected in the community as the city marshal. Thank you.
Mr. Miguez, how is the office funded, and what is the current condition of the budget?
The office is funded by the fines and tickets that the court receives. All funding goes through the court. That's how the city marshal is funded. Speeding tickets, whatever the fines are administered. Evictions, you get money from evictions, and other small claims courts, you get funding from that. But your primary source of funding is through the fines. The marshal's office is getting better. We are starting to pick up again because they're starting to write tickets. Tickets are being written, and we have made an active role. The judge and I talked about this to make it more important for these people that fine to pay their fines when they come into court. not just to come and say, look, I'll pay on time. The judge has been more I'd say, enforcing, making, hey, how much are you going to pay today? So we're getting the money in. The money's starting to come in. We're calling people on our failure to appear warrant list weekly to see if we can get these people, find them so they can bring in the funding. We applied for grants. Grants is another way, but going out and talking to local community, people that groups that want to get involved in helping us. The Marshal's office is small, but it's growing. And in order to do all the things that my friends up here are saying, it's going to take a lot more money than we have right now. But we can get there, but it's going to take a process of working with people.
Mr. Lang, how is the city marshal funded, and what is the current condition of the budget?
So the city marshal's funded through court fines, traffic citations. When a warrant is executed by the marshal's office, you get funds from that. I have not seen the budget. Just from looking from the outside looking in, the city of New Iberia is selling itself short. You know, the current marshal said, you know, the city police is writing tickets. We shouldn't have to depend on the city police to fund the marshal's office. There's many ways to fund the marshal's office. You have to go out and do it. The city marshal could write traffic citations and get revenue from that. The city marshal could apply for grants and get revenue for that. The city marshal can do evictions and get revenue from that. There's a lot that the city marshal can do. That's why I'm going to propose to the judge of having the probation switch to the marshal's office. That right there would alleviate a lot of the financial crunch that the city marshal's office is experiencing. I mean, we can't depend on the city police to do everything. That's why we have a city marshal's office, is to assist the city police. So again, I plan to sit with the mayor, put our heads together, and figure out a way to move this city marshal's office forward. Thank you.
And this is our last question for tonight. What is an issue that hasn't been raised, but you think needs more discussion, and what are your thoughts on it? You will have 60 seconds. Mr. Lane.
So I think an issue that really hasn't been touched on is the lack of training in the marshal's office. I've said it, earlier. We have deputy marshals that are riding around in units that are not certified. They're not police officers. They're commissioned through the marshal's office, but they're a liability to the city. I mean, it is what it is, and it's unsafe for those deputies. We need post-certified police officers that are trained, and that is my plan, is to, when I take office, is to hire post-certified officers. I plan to establish a community advisory board to help with the hiring process. Get people from outside the community, or inside the community rather, to sit on a board to help me interview candidates, because at the end of the day, the marshal works for the people, and so do the deputies. Thank you.
Mr. Miguez, what are an issue that hasn't been raised tonight, and what are your thoughts on it?
We had talked about the Brady list and what that entails, and should a person on the Brady list be even able to apply for the marshal's position. We hadn't talked about that, about qualifications that people have or don't have. We can sit up here and we can say this and we can say that and point fingers, but until you sit there and know what's going on, you really don't know the whole facts. So I'd like to know that. That hadn't been brought up. They criticized the marshal's office for many things, but we're working as hard as we possibly can. The previous marshal was there for 40 years. He did a good job. However, he did it a different way. We're changing, and we have changed. We have 2 brand new vehicles that were given to us. We have radios that were given to us. We have computers, copy machines. We've reduced the rate of failure to appear. We have money in the bank. We're growing. We're doing very, very well. Thank you.
Mr. Porter, what's an issue that hasn't been raised tonight, and what are your thoughts on it?
I think the biggest thing is just community involvement. I think I've been the only candidate here to address working in the community. I think as a law enforcement officer, that is our biggest asset of getting things done in this community. We work for the people. The people need to know that the city marshal is there for them. I think being the person that I've been since I've been in this city, I work closely with the pastors to walk the streets, to get to know the community, get to know the neighbors that I need to serve in this community. I think that is the biggest thing that we need to address in these days and age, especially in law enforcement, is that what are you going to do for the community? Because that is the people that we serve on a daily basis. And I think I'm going to be the best candidate to do that, to serve the people of New Iberia. Thank you.
Okay, we will now have closing remarks and we will give you 30 seconds. Mr. Porter.
I'm Cory Porter, candidate for City Marshal. I want the people to help me be elected November 3rd as your City Marshal. You can look at my website. It's Cory Porter 4 FOR citymarshal.com. Please look at my qualifications. Look what I bring to the table and look at what I'm going to offer to the city of New Iberia. Please, people of New Iberia, pick the best candidate, Cory Porter. Thank you.
Mr. Miguez.
In Iberia, I've been working very hard for the last year. I'm giving you as much as I can give you, and I'm willing to give you more. I've asked you, please, to look at what we have done in the last 11 months, what we've done with that office. You've never seen a marshal's office vehicle riding around the city ever. You have 2 of them riding around. We're out there daily. We have a staff of people that are second to none. We're bringing on people every day. Please, to keep what we've got started going, please vote me, Tony Miguez, keep me as your city marshal. Thank you.
Mr. Lane.
I want to thank everyone again for joining in, for tuning in to listen to this forum. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not a politician, and if that's what you want as a city marshal, then I'm not your candidate. But if you want someone who's going to get out and serve the public like I have been, then I'm the candidate to choose. I ask you to go to my Facebook page, Brett Lang for City Marshal, or contact me 337-230-4802 if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you.
That concludes tonight's forum for City Marshal of New Iberia. Next forum will begin at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening with the New Iberia Council Member at Large forum, followed by the forum for the 16th Judicial District Attorney. We certainly appreciate your time and effort put forth by the candidates here tonight. We want to remind everyone the deadline for the 2020 census is fast approaching. It's September 30th. If you have not already done so, please take your time to complete the census. You can do it online at my2020census.gov. Having everyone in the parish counted is essential to federal funding for all kinds of improvements and services, public roads, emergency equipment. Each person that goes uncounted costs Louisiana $2,291. As of yesterday, we had 60% of Iberia Parish population that has responded. Again, we wish all the candidates the best. We want to encourage all registered voters to exercise your right to vote in this upcoming election. Be sure to spread the word about the forum. Postings on the chamber website at iberiachamber.org. This concludes our portion of the program. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.